Maybe in a decade they take me out on a stretcher till I come back like Roman Reigns. Blood in my veins, still boiling and the pot finna bubble up. 10 blunts lit, I got the drop in the double cup. Bro, they know I'm at the spot and I'm finna fuck them up. Pearly gates waiting, but it's no heaven. Call me baby reverend, choke him out like Dan Severn, and my brother's still bludgeon. We at the complex on a new day. Dreads to my ears, I look like Lupe. Yeah.
What's up, all, and welcome to Permanent Marks number 10, the 10th episode. We're in the double digits, and to celebrate that shit, perfect 10 over there. We have our second guest on the show.
Hell yeah.
So we would like to invite Moretta Browne, longtime listener of the show, to come talk on her spicy wrestling views. Add some spice.
What's up,
to
everybody? First off, want to say gratitude. Thank you to Aaron. Thank you to Pat for having me on the show. First time, long time. You know what I'm saying? I've watched every episode or listened to every episode. So really looking forward to our conversation today. We already were riffing before this, so
We were talking mad shit about Moxley's hair.
Which I don't agree with, but
I think he looks great now that he's got it buzzed, you know?
he does. Looks better.
I don't know. Aaron's got spicy takes on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
He said man was looking rough. But yeah, we're gonna hang out. We're gonna talk mostly about AEW since Mo is a more AEW leaning person like myself.
Mm-hmm.
A little probably better, well versed in like New Japan and kind of the outskirt companies. So I guess we're gonna talk through Dynamite. We're gonna talk about Wembley coming up.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do a little thing at the end where we talk about our favorite finishers, which I'd like to hear because I picked some strange ones. I think I tried to make it not too the same as everybody.
We had some fun with that one. I'm excited. So if you don't watch anything on this podcast, stick around for that one.
Yeah, switch
this podcast. Everything.
Every second. Take it in.
Just
take it in, man. But yeah, we're going to just go through the week with AEW real quick, and start off with Dynamite in Pittsburgh. It was in Pittsburgh this week, right? The home of Dr. Britt Baker. Also the home of Wardlow, who laid down the smacketh. But yeah, I thought it was a great show. Y'all can start it off because I kind of missed the first part of it with me and Aaron doing the last episode of the podcast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Before Pillars came out, it was Jungle Boy came out first, I believe.
Right. He did.
Jungle Boy came out first, and then of course, as soon as he started to talk, Darby comes out. Or was it Sammy?
It was Sammy and Darby.
And then Darby.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they're all doing their, quasi babyface promos because they're all fighting each other. I really thought the segment struggled, in my opinion, until MJF came out.
Mm-hmm.
Darby's been firing off like career high level promos the last couple of weeks, and to me, he's far and above shown that he's capable of running with the ball in a character sense over Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy at this point, and especially Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy seemed like, in ring, they're all in ring right there on the same level, but Jungle Boy seemed like it seems like these guys are kind of leaving him in the dust when it comes to promos, and it kind of sounds like the crowd was a little, like there was some "shut the fuck up" chants when Jungle Boy was talking, which you never want to shut the fuck up chants.
No.
I think, comparatively to all of them, Jungle Boy might be like the weakest. I wouldn't say, at least on promos. I think he holds a match together better than most of them, probably.
He's got the look over all those guys too. Like he's got that prototypical wrestler look You know?
It's just he hasn't had diversity, I would say, as much as the other people have. Like Sammy's fought like everybody with the JSS and with the inner circle and what is it? JASS? JS
Yeah.
JS uh and Jungle Boy was just stuck with Christian for a while. Like
Taurus.
yeah, and Luchasaurus. I feel like they just did that for like the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, I'll let Mo go after this, but what you said about he's had more diversity, in a way, they kind of brought that up in their promos against him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sammy and Darby kind of found common ground, saying they actually like each other a little bit, that type of thing. So
Yeah.
I mean, all right, this might be part of the spicy opinion, but I think as a whole, this idea that the Pillars are going after the championship belt is exciting within the context of AEW because they're putting their young guys on, and that's exciting for me. But also the believability that any of those three guys are anywhere close to MJF, like, I have a hard time buying into wanting to believe that they could actually go after this belt. Now, we all know it's not going to happen. So when I see, like, you're giving me a 15-minute, 10-minute opening segment with three dudes who are all like, I'm going for the belt. No, I'm going for the belt. And it's like, I don't want any of y'all to go for the belt.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest, like, I feel like that would have been a great opportunity to circle back to the Ricky Starks thing. I don't know how I feel about the Jay White stuff. We could talk about that later. But I felt like out of all those three, none of them really have, in the past couple of weeks, they've grown their stock. But at the end of the day, I don't believe any of them can actually beat MJF. And that was what was great about Danielson, was there was like a moment where I was like, I know he's not winning, but is he? But
yeah, you still kind of like knew he wasn't going to win, but yet with how good that match was,
right.
Like by the end of it, I was sitting there like, they really going to take this off MJF this fast? Like,
so, and then with this, I'm just like, trying to not be so critical and just be like, y'all are actually trying to get behind these three guys. So I'm excited for that. The match with Sammy and Jungle Boy was dope. And we could talk about that when we get to it.
yeah.
But I just feel like I'm not really bought into this storyline still.
I think that how you said, all three of their stock has risen. I actually disagree. I think Jungle Boy's stock has fallen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I kind of agree with Aaron on that. Like,
because before this, and even before I deeply started following AEW, I always heard people say great things about Jack Perry and about how he's a young guy they really need to invest a lot in. And I thought the same when I just saw his work. And I've been seeing more of his promos now. And, it's just, like I said, the segment really struggled until MJF came out. I have enjoyed Darby's promos. I think Sammy Guevara is a really good promo as well.
Darby's still doing that, but we didn't talk. I love Darby. Darby's like my favorite out of all them, probably. But
yeah, I agree.
But still doing the like last week after Sting did his promo. Like, they should have just left it there, but Darby still had to get in, like, the world is like a plastic, or I don't live in your plastic world. And I was like, Darby, shut up, man. Like, just let's go.
I think he has a little bit of, like, what Jeff has, where it's like, if anybody else said it, it would sound really, really dumb.
Right.
But sometimes it can be a little too campy. But I think he's been getting that happy medium a little bit better lately.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He sounds more serious and believable lately, so that's
good.
You can
and also he advocate for MJF to go to therapy. So, like, go to therapy.
Yeah,
go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
go fix your shit.
Yeah.
Says the man with the half skeleton face. Like
if he's telling you that, boy. Listen.
Says the man that's jumping off of ladders in the ring through double stacked chairs.
I just think like juxtapose this opening set, and I know we shouldn't do this because I don't like comparing AEW and WWE because to me it's just two completely different things.
It is
for the most part. But juxtapose this to like a Monday Night Raw open where you would have like Seth Rollins come out and the Bloodline come out. Who would you rather hear talk for 15 minutes? I mean, even with the WWE scripting sometimes being as cringe and terrible as it is, I love the creative license that people get in AEW, but I think that you got to protect people too at the same time. And I think that
Mm-hmm.
that's why Jungle Boy's stock has fallen a little bit because he's been exposed a little bit.
Oh, I'm
You know?
torn because it feels like they're trying to give those like people like Jungle Boy who struggle with their promos, Wardlow too. They're trying to give them time to work on it, right? But it's like I'm also like, do you need to give Precious TV time for them to be working on these promos? Like
Yeah.
they do. I think when Jungle Boy was doing his backstage segments, was doing the promos like a little bit more edited, but they were
Yeah,
coming off stronger.
exactly.
So
Yep.
like lean into that for this. Personally do not want my show to open up with talking anymore. I'm over it. And I think that's why that's leading to me being like, I'm ready to see y'all wrestle. I'm ready to see the storyline actually go somewhere beyond just
But
y'all talking to each other.
I don't know. Dynamite does a lot of wrestling. You know, like
I,
it's like the whole thing is wrestling.
And you're right, Pat. You're right, Pat. And Moretta, that's a great point about wanting it just to get to wrestling because I think that can be said for a lot of stuff in AEW because that's what we're in. That's what we come to AEW for. The
But
talking I can excuse more in WWE.
I
You
think
know?
I think for certain people you get that. Like, but for MJF, like even though I love his matches, I come for his talking.
right.
Uh,
I'm with you on that.
Danielson lately, like I come for his talking. You know, I've seen him
But
do every banger
not
match.
those people, not the people who we.
I know, but what I'm saying is like
You know?
I think Rampage should work like SmackDown does, where SmackDown not a lot of matches on SmackDown, like heavy story. And so on like Dynamite, you can have maybe the people that can keep it together, like MJF
Mm-hmm.
and Danielson, that don't need work. They're doing the heavy lifting of talking. You got Jericho and Adam Cole and all them doing it. And then on Rampage, have the younger people get their talking in.
Yeah.
I think like before the main event when Mark Henry like has them do the little back and forth like it's like an old Southern wrestling like kind of thing. Like I think a lot of people always like have like started getting better on the mic by like knocking those out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like so yeah, I just think Dynamite should have like if it's the pillar match that they're going to, those four are probably like some of the biggest characters, you know, that an everyday AEW fan like really wants something from. Like we know Danielson can go, we know Adam Cole can go, we know MJF's going to be great, but yeah, I really want to like see something from all of them. And Darby stepped up. I think Sammy Guevara has stepped up. I think his promos have been fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
He in Long Island, he was able to like brush the fucking heat off from MJF, and
He's showing a lot of confidence. It's good.
He did.
yeah, and he just like brushed off the booze or whatever and just kept on keeping on. But yeah, I agree that like Jungle Boy has maybe taken the biggest hit from it. And then you kind of go like how much of like the good promos from the Jungle Boy Christian stuff was like Christian helping out, you know, like
Yeah.
And Christian can still help out behind the scenes. Like he could be like, whoop.
I don't want to see Jungle Boy with Christian at all anymore. I don't want to see them in the same room.
Don't y'all be emailing each other no more.
Yeah. What she was saying behind the scenes, and I agree with that. Like,
Just like pull him
obviously.
aside and be like, hey, saw what happened last Dynamite. Let's work on that for next, hopefully next Dynamite they don't do that again. But if they have to, hopefully someone's helping him structure his promos a little bit better.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's fine for them to do this, I think, because this was like, what are you going to do until Adam Cole gets into the MJF feud? So I think this is like a great placeholder that like, this is kind of the start and we can come back to this when we review all their feuds like singularly that are going to happen over the next 3 years.
For the next big story for MJF. I mean, this is a big story for MJF because it's the pillars with him, but there's going to be a bigger one after this. So this is a good stepping stone. You know?
And the good thing is MJF shows like a lot of respect for each of these dudes. So
yeah,
he's not steamrolling any of them really.
No.
I feel like his promos have even been like more reserved on the Jack Perry side.
Because he could
just to like
he could tear him up if he wanted.
he could tear him up.
You could give him the Wheeler Yuta treatment real quick if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think he did that to Yuta, and he felt real bad after because I don't know what Yuta was doing in that promo.
Yeah.
And Yuta was showing more fire than Jack showed.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
You know,
he just didn't have the voice to match it. It was like weird. Like I was like,
man sounded like Majin Buu.
I don't know who that is, but I agree.
It's a very tiny voice inside of a big man. I'm excited. I think all of them are gonna grow into like really great wrestlers. I just think Sammy and Darby are probably closer than Jack Perry, and that's not to say Jack Perry's like far away from them at all. I've seen him do like great promos, but it's just like when all four of them are together, you can tell like who's kind of had a little more seasoning. And then after we had that set up, which set up this tournament, right? Which is a bullshit tournament. They're not.
They gave a random bye to
Darby
Allin just because they wanted him to be in the final match. So.
Yeah. I mean, they're all going to fight each other next pay-per-view. It's not going to be like whoever wins this, No, it's like Jack Perry got disqualified, eliminated, but through like a bullshit way that will come back, and then they'll all be like, we're wrestling each other.
Right. So, yeah, I'm excited to see how they're going to get to that. How do we feel about MJF in the tournaments? Is it feeling different than the what he normally has, the trials? He always is putting people through trials.
Oh, yeah. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, who was the last person that did the trials though for him? Who is it?
Danielson did trials.
Oh yeah, but that was
Jericho
good.
too.
I think Jericho did the trials too. Yeah.
Cody
I like
did
it.
trials.
Yeah, I like it because it's kind of like a theme with him, and that's cool. Like I like it when they tie those themes together, and he doesn't always have like a crew of people that can be the trials, but you always have to work to get to the top dog. So I like that.
Mm-hmm.
He makes people earn it, and it makes him more of a heel because he's like, you're not going to fight me until I think you're ready to fight me.
Mm.
So that's, for his character, I like it.
And it also keeps him from having to wrestle every week, which I like seeing MJF wrestle only at like pay-per-views and stuff, because every time I feel like I forget, like I'm like, this is just going to be MJF like doing some weird heel stuff and like rolling out of the ring and blah, blah, blah. And then lately, every match that he's done has been like a fucking banger, like a 5-star match.
It makes it special.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Shawn Michaels in the late 90s when I first started watching.
Yeah.
Like he was on Raw every week, but he wasn't wrestling. You had to watch the pay-per-view to see him wrestle. Mm-hmm. And every match was good. You know what I mean? So it makes it more special for sure.
And especially when these pay-per-views are expensive as fuck.
You got $9, baby. Too much.
They keep getting me. Luckily, there's only like 4 of them a year, I guess, as compared to the 12.
Forbidden Door, and then Wembley is going to be its own show. So that's 2 more added to the docket. I don't know
Well, the Wembley thing I think is just special for this year, though. So I'm fine with that. Like, I don't think they're going to do Wembley every year. That'd be crazy.
Oh no, I don't think they could.
Yeah.
No shade. Oh, and Wardlow, just to throw it out there, Wardlow had trials too.
Oh yeah, he was the first one probably, I would guess, that had the trials.
Yeah, so it pretty much it feels like almost every major opponent MJF had, he was like trials and tribulations coming up.
Yeah.
But this one was more of like a tournament, I guess. Yeah. I don't know, but yeah, I get that it's like a similar setup. But I'm excited for it. That match is going to go hard. If anything with AEW, if it doesn't have a good run up or like you disappointed with the story, you can always just be like, well, that match is going to be fucking good. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
that match is going to go off, baby. Darby's going to be jumping through shit, breaking stuff. Jungle Boy will, do Jungle Boy shit, and Sammy will be flipping and flying. It'll be great.
It'll be sick.
MJF will be scratching backs and doing eye pokes and shit. I don't know. Then after they set up the tournament where Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy were wrestling at the end of the night. You had Britt and Jamie versus the Outcasts, and I watched a little bit of this, just kind of like watching the ending and stuff. And I think in the last few weeks, I've like gotten really into the Outcasts. I had like no care for them at all for like the last few months, but I think the last few Dynamites they've like really kind of come into their own, I guess, and they seem like more formidable than they did before. So,
Well, here's the thing. You know why they're coming into their own? Because just like Moretta was saying earlier, they're fucking wrestling. And that's what everybody in this group is good at. The only good talker in this group, in my opinion, is Ruby Riott. Ruby Soho, excuse me. And she led the Riot Squad in WWE as the leader of that faction. I think she needs to be the de facto leader of this faction. Paige is there for name value.
It's hard though. It's hard with Paige.
It's not going to be hard because here's the thing. I don't think that the AEW crowd has taken to Paige like Tony Khan or anybody thought they would, because Paige is, let's be honest, she hasn't performed to the top of her game since she's been there. And people notice that now. And people notice that she's not giving 100%. Maybe she's not coming across the way they want to present her. But people like Ruby better.
I think she's finally like kind of figuring it out, Saraya. Like,
well, I think that her job is simple. Just be the name value. Tony Storm. Let me tell you about Tony Storm.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know much about Tony Storm before NXT UK and the Mae Young Classic and all that stuff. But what made me like Tony Storm, and I'm sure a lot of other people, was wrestling. When she was in WWE and NXT, she never had a storyline that really was great, but her matches were always good. That's why we liked her. That's why we wanted her to get pushed. Yeah. Let her wrestle. Let Ruby Soho wrestle because she's good at wrestling, and let Ruby Soho talk because she's the best talker. Because even in interviews, Tony Storm sounds like a rambler. I'm sorry, I love Tony Storm. I don't want to talk shit. But
I don't want to talk shit. 10 minutes of talking shit on Tony Storm.
She doesn't sound. No, she's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, in my opinion. Like ability wise, top 10. All right, but even in interviews, she can barely put a sentence together. I'm just saying. So,
well,
I thought when they switched to the heel, like she was kind of getting it together, but now it's in the group and she just kind of stands in the background, which is fine. Like,
and she doesn't they can all take turns talking in those, backstage promos and whatnot. So I feel like it works that way. You just made such a good point, Aaron, that I need to just lift that up real quick. Ruby being the de facto leader of the Outsiders, I think is going to lead to Ruby versus Saraya down the line.
And I'd be cool with that. That would be sick.
I mean, like vying for power, and then like the question will be, where's Tony's allegiance gonna lie? Is it gonna be with Saraya or is it gonna be with Ruby? And like you were also saying, I like Tony versus Jamie Hayter is one of my top 10 AEW matches of all time. I thought that match was sick. I thought they killed it. And I think Ruby had such a point. The fact that I think the reason they dropped that belt to Jamie was because the crowd was way more behind Jamie than they were Tony. And Tony was like carrying that belt very much like how Moxley was, the interim title. So I think maybe they can bring that up. But all that to say, having someone who is such a good wrestler, like she can turn the tide for either woman when that match happens, when that feud goes down. So it feels like a legitimate threat. If Tony's not on my side, I don't want her to be my enemy. You know what I mean? Right. So I think that match, if they could pull that off at All Out or Full Gear down the road, would be very sick.
Is All Out the next one?
Double or Nothing, and then it's All Out.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that because I honestly haven't liked the group until this week. Like this match, I was like, this is good. This is what they should do.
They were one of my, those are my guys. People aren't behind them, but every time they came out, I was like, yes! Just like, woo!
They're better than Damage Control ever was.
Yeah, that's true too.
I feel like
I'll give them that.
I don't even watch WWE, and I hear the what they're doing with Damage Control, and it bums me out.
It's just Bailey shouldn't be leading nothing. Bailey should just be wrestling too. That's another thing. But yeah, and the Outcasts getting a shine right now, even though I don't think they're amazing, but they're like I said, they're growing on me. But the only reason that they're like growing on me is because it's something that's fucking like cool happening in the women's division. Like, I love Jamie Hayter. I think she's the best person that's held the belt. I like her more than I like Britt with the belt. But like, get to them fucking fighting already. All right.
Yes, that was my
Like,
next point. Get to
I don't
that.
need to see Jamie coming out with Britt as like a support character anymore, because in the eyes of the audience, Britt is the bigger star. So it takes away from Jamie having any championship shine when you have like the biggest young women star in AEW with you every night. And she's not doing anything. She
Yeah.
doesn't do anything.
Got
It's like
matches. Jamie has great matches, and that's it.
Jamie has great matches. She does great promos, and so does Britt. But like, we're seeing a little bit of Jamie stuff, like when she has time to do like a 30-second promo or whatever. But you're not seeing like much from Britt. You had like this like weird that ending on Dynamite with Britt, I guess, in Adam Cole's corner. So it's like,
Yeah.
why are we doing that when she's supposed to be like Jamie's, person? So now she's split between these two storylines. I don't get it.
Well, that was great. Well, I'll just say that before we
Yeah.
get to it. But I think it's one of those things where like I just wish that I could like look inside Tony Khan's brain.
Yes.
Because it's one of those things where like in wrestling, what makes a booker special or a show company, whatever special, is how they flirt that line between when to pull the trigger on something and when it's going to become this superstar is stuck in purgatory. You know what I mean? And it's little things like, even though we love Vikingo and Dralistico, they're not mainstays on your roster. You have them main eventing at Rampage. Maybe give Britt and Jamie Hayter some of that TV time to further their story. You have this random Japanese superstar coming in to fight Kenny Omega this night, but it's like Kenny's already got his trio stuff going on. Let's put, Stokely Hathaway and the Firm in this spot and let them do something other than cut a backstage promo.
Yeah.
So it's all about time management and how he's kind of using his chess pieces on the board. I think some of the moves he's been making have been great, but it's all about follow-up and what's going on around that. And it just seems like...
I will say, I think what cut Jamie and Britt off was Saraya coming in the first time. I think they nipped that in the bud because Saraya got put up with Britt when she first came in. So I think, and like you were saying, I don't know when they're going to circle back to that at this point. It's the same thing with CM Punk. He came in, and I think he like nipped some people's push.
Yeah.
Not to.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not trying to dogpile on CM Punk. I'm just stating that, like, objectively, I think Tony was like, "Here's this bigger name coming in. That's
on Tony. Yeah. That's on Tony not showing the patience to say, "Yeah, we want you to come in, but now is not the time." Like, I'll sign you, I'll give you your contract, but you're gonna have to sit at home and work out for 3 months until we get this story, that story settled, and then
come through.
And I think Tony did all the big like legend type male stars way better than they did Saraya. They brought Saraya in and they were like, "Go fight Britt immediately." And it's like, when you brought Bryan Danielson in, he was having the 60-minute matches with all the top stars, no real storyline to it, just Danielson being like, "I'm the fucking best. Let's wrestle for 60 minutes tonight." You had CM Punk fighting a ton of new stars every week. Like, I don't know, like a ton of very young people. Like, he fought the acclaimed dude, what's his name?
Was it
Max Caster?
Was it Max? Yeah.
Yeah, he fought Max. He fought
Will Hobbs, Daniel Garcia. He fought Matt Seidel. Like, he was just going. My boy Bobby Fish fought Bobby the Fish.
Yeah.
He
got mad at Bobby Fish.
Sure did. I say that in jest. I hate Bobby Fish, but
but you didn't. And I mean, Jericho's always been in that role, but you just like didn't do that with Saraya, and it's like, why not give her time to get like, like a stable footing in AEW before you're like, go fight the biggest star in AEW, and like that's all you're gonna do for the next few months. Like, it doesn't make sense.
I wouldn't have hated if they gave her the CM Punk run. Like she's like, I'm not cleared yet. I'm worried about my neck. And then like have someone like a Sky Blue come out and be like, I want to be your first match in AEW when you're cleared. And just have it be like a friendly fire, like it's just two people appreciating each other in the ring, right? And then build from
Yeah.
there to either Jamie or Britt, honestly, at that point. But no, like you said, they kind of just threw her in with Britt because of the namesake. But I'm also just like, who did that benefit at in the long run?
It didn't. It doesn't benefit Tony Storm. It doesn't. And it doesn't benefit.
I think like I don't think that push would have worked for Soraya or Soraya
Yeah.
because I don't think she's that type of performer. You know,
Tell me more. No, tell me why.
She's never been that type of performer. I mean, if you looked at the stuff that she was doing with AJ Lee and Nikki Bella and stuff like that, like yeah, she was having the best matches on the show. That's because she was wrestling with AJ Lee and Nikki Bella and Summer Rae and
I don't know. Those
Alicia
NXT
Fox.
matches are really fucking good, but
You know, I mean, AJ Lee's cool, and so is Nikki Bella, but that's about all you had back then, you know, besides her. So, and she was a breath of fresh air. She was different, but I don't ever think she was the worker. You know what I mean? I would never have called her the worker's worker. You know, she was always a great character. I liked her more for her personality and her promos than her wrestling. You know, so
do you think would that have been an opportunity to kind of get her to be a worker's worker by having her go through other women on the roster? You know, just like being like, I was never that person in WWE, but now that I'm here in AEW, like the wrestling show, let me get to a place where I could be the wrestler.
I think if she had gone to if AEW existed when she first went to WWE, yeah. I think she's past that point now because you got to think about it. She's not that old, but she's been wrestling since she was like 13.
Right. Yeah.
And then on top of that, I don't know if y'all watch Total Divas, but this girl like to drink. She likes to go hard. She like party.
She had her moment. She's past it.
So
well, she's been sober for however long, but I don't know. I don't know if that's. I always like Paige's match fine. Like her matches were pretty good in my eyes. Compared, I mean, she was better than. I think she's better than like the Bella's like line. She's as good as everyone, like, and a step below the Four Horsewomen.
Right, like her and AJ Lee were the two best women at that time.
Yeah,
you know, at that time. But if her and AJ Lee were wrestling now, they would probably be. Well, she is wrestling, but if AJ was wrestling, her and AJ would probably be maybe top 20 skill-wise wrestlers for females in the world. Maybe top 20, technically.
I don't know. I think like once
psychology-wise and storytelling-wise, they're obviously going to be far beyond a lot of people because they've
done it for so long too. Yeah,
they've done it for so long. But skill-wise, there's so many women that are so good that can do every moonsault, Hurricane Rana, powerbomb under the sun.
Well, you know what? And I'm going to say this. Maybe this is the thing. Maybe we just have our wrestlers who are good at wrestling. And maybe we just have people like Soraya who you don't give her so many matches, but just like you were saying, let her just shine through her character work and the storylines. Like, maybe not everyone has, this is going to sound crazy, but maybe not everybody in wrestling should be a good wrestler.
I know, yes. You're 100%
I
right.
just had an epiphany. I'm like, damn, maybe some wrestlers just aren't good, but we still love them, you know?
Yeah. And I don't think that's the case for Soraya, but
that is a thing that can exist.
Yeah, I mean, Soraya can wrestle and I'll watch it and I think it'll be good. I think like that first one that she did with Britt was kind of crusty. And that was
it was very crusty.
It was just it just kind of like soured it for everybody. But she had that second match that I thought was great. So I don't fucking know. She's doing and she's doing like fun shit in that match. Like she's doing like little drop down punches like Dustin and shit like that. So I don't know. I don't think it's hopeless for her or anything. I think she just needs to fucking wrestle like a bunch of random people to where like, yeah, if you put her in there with a Sky Blue, she's going to look way better than Sky Blue does. And that's what is going to make the people go like, yeah, we're stoked to see Soraya, you know? I mean,
I was just saying that like if they, after this Outcast storyline, if they want to pivot, if they ultimately lose it, if they want to pivot to that, like I would watch it. I'd be into that. You know what I mean?
No, Ruby and Soraya is the way to go. Like, I like that idea.
Oh, yeah, I think
That's
Yeah.
the
we're
way to
definitely getting that. And if not, Tony, give me the book and I will figure it out.
You gotta pry it out of his fucking cocaine-ridden hands. I don't know what that man's doing, but ever since that Wembley announcement where he just stared into the mic like, "What's up? Y'all ready to hear something cool?" You're just like, "All right, bro, calm down." I know you jacked off right now, but let's go. Come on, like give it a break. Yeah, and
Ooh.
then moving on from that, what do you got next, Mel? Because I have
Um,
something.
well, the next up is the Elite BCC segment.
Yeah,
And
that's what I
that's
had
the
too.
highlight of my Dynamite, I will say. Because I need to go on record is that I am the number one BCC stan. I will never a day in my life disrespect that faction. You can't make me do it. So anything they do, even if it's hot garbage, flopping it out. Nom nom nom. Just want to let you know. Anyways,
If this man takes out a screwdriver one more time, I'm gonna be pissed.
deep throating screwdrivers on national television. Hallelujah. Blessed be. Like that's all.
if he had a way of like twiddling the screwdriver in his hand just a little faster, but he's so clunky with it. It's taking all of his fucking brain power to twirl the screwdriver. I'm like, let it go,
Yeah.
man. Let it go.
I was like you did last time. I was super into that. Let's go.
I will say, I love how Brian Danielson is literally channeling every single wrestling critic, former wrestler past the age of 50, because he's literally using the exact talking points that people say about Kenny Omega to Kenny Omega. And he was like, they're amateurs, but you're not an amateur, but you want to hang around amateurs. That's like some shit that you know who, Patrick, probably has said on the podcast. Like, I love it. I love it because I love the Bucks. I've liked them since some of their stuff in TNA back in the day. But the criticisms are true. The things so it gets a little extreme sometimes, what people say about Kenny Omega and especially the Young Bucks. It gets a little extreme because there was a point probably 4 years ago where maybe 5 where you had an argument that the Young Bucks were the best tag team in the world. There was a point. But the criticisms are true. And I like that Daniel Bryan, or I keep saying, he has his name is so, anyway.
Just say B-Dan, baby. B-Dan, fam.
Yeah, I like that he's doing that because I think that honestly, like you were saying about Ruby and Soraya, if we get Brian and Kenny at the end of this, which is what we're going to get,
sure are.
that has a chance to be the match of the year and the feud of the year if they do it right. So I really hope that.
We've already seen that match is fucking
right, and it was
far and above. Yeah, they did this. They did the 60-minute draw last time they fought, and it was a damn good match. Aaron, definitely go back and rewatch like right when B-Dan got here.
I gotta watch that. I missed all of that.
Before the heel turn, where everybody was like, "Is he gonna live up to being the American Dragon?" Or and then he just was like, "Yeah, bro."
Yeah. Well, I never had any doubts.
Yeah. I was just like, did WWE put my dude to sleep? Like, is he gonna have it all? And he came back and he was like, yeah, I'm the best fucking wrestler in the world. So, and I think BCC, like going back to the Outcast, if they're gonna do the Outcast as like such a menacing group, they need to do a similar style to what they're doing with BCC, where BCC is just coming out and breaking people.
Not spray painting them with shitty ass whatever the fuck that shit.
Why didn't they put the nozzle? Just put the nozzle on, and it would have helped so much. Anyways,
Aaron's sad about that spray paint. He brings it up way too often.
That's offensive to a person that uses spray paint a lot.
It haunts him. It haunts him deeply. He can't get over it. Yeah, so we had the BCC and the Elite come out. BCC is getting the upper hand until Don Callis dragged my boy Takeshita, I think, off the toilet because man still had his socks on. I think, and he ran out to the ring, and it was great. I fucking love Takeshita. He's one of like my favorite stars that have, he's been elsewhere, but definitely has like made a name for himself in AEW. And to see him with the Elite, that's like so cool. It's like
we get him and Brian next. Is him and Brian the next match? That should be it.
I'm down
I
with
think
it.
that the immediate next match is Kenny and Takeshita teaming up with going against Butcher and Blade next week. So,
I'm cool with that. As like a we're homies now kind of match where they beat the shit out. They're gonna beat the bricks off of the fucking Butcher and the
I
Blade.
will not watch it because I'm boycotting. Butcher and Blade are my guys. That's like feeding them to the wolves. I'm upset.
Look, just because Andy was in Every Time I Died doesn't mean you can't keep standing for those people forever.
That's exactly.
The man is getting on in years, all right? So just let him be a big old punching bag, because that's what
I know. This should be sick. This whole thing, I think it's leading to a blood and guts type situation. 4-on-4 should be pretty tight.
They're going to do another exploding ring.
Out, so you already know.
What'd you say, Aaron? Sure. What'd you say, Aaron?
I said they already pulled the screwdriver out, so you already know for sure. Blood and guts is next.
Twirling. Straight twirling. I mean, it's so funny that B-Dan and Mox are on the same side, because you would think like this is a Mox setup 100%. But me and Aaron were talking like B-Dan as a leader works way better than Mox as a leader, because Mox just does whatever Mox want to do. Mox be Moxin at the end of the day. So yeah, you kind of like have the aggression of Moxley in B-Dan right now, but you have B-Dan, who is a natural leader to lead the group. So I think it's very fucking cool. And I guess B-Dan also not a person to shy away from blood, so that match is going to be fucked up.
Yeah, well, I think as them being heels, the criticism for Jon Moxley is he bleeds all the time. But since he's turned heel, I ain't seen not a drop of blood come out that man. So be real heelish if they have a blood and guts match and Moxley's like, you see this blood? It's staining my body. You ain't gonna suck on.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like he has a weird fetish. He just gotta bleed.
He gotta bleed. They had to. That was the real reason Cody had to go to WWE, was because his wife was just like, man, you got a problem. You got a real problem. You coming out here every match bleeding your dick off, and then we got a baby on the way. You bled an entire baby's worth of blood in the last month. You gotta chill out. Maybe we gotta call up Bruce Pritchard. You gotta go to WWE, and that's what happened. That's why he's gone. Because man was setting himself on fire, jumping through tables, got that terrible neck tattoo. It was all within a span of like 2-3 months. He couldn't keep living like that. He was going to die.
He's going through a quarter-life crisis, man.
Yeah. Cody had to go to WWE, and Mox had to go to rehab. Came back, bled more. I don't know how that worked out. Like, he got sobered up, and he was like, I'm just going to offset this with bleeding now. But yeah, Takeshita, the Elite, is awesome. I think that's going to lead to some very sick matches. And for them to start fighting now would be pretty cool, because BCC hasn't really. I mean, they've fought, but like it's been like kind of squashy matches since B-Dan took over. So now I think it's time to actually split off into like the big matches.
Yeah,
big hurt your ass matches.
That's right now. They're basically just building reps before Bryan Danielson came back, which I love how the last time we saw Bryan Danielson with Jon Moxley and all them, they were about to tussle because of the William Regal situation, and then Bryan Danielson was like, very simply, to squash all that, listen, I'm back, I love all these people, we're good. I'm like, great, y'all need.
Not even just very simply, because for weeks before that, Claudio and Mox and Wheeler were being menaces. And the last time we saw Bryan, he was a face. Like, he was like a baby face. So when he came out, it was like, is he going to be mad at them? And it was like, no. Like, I'm a savage too, motherfucker. Like,
the man does both heel and baby face so well that it's just like, I can switch whenever the fuck I want. It's like how Jericho, like if there's a night where Jericho wants to be like more babyface, he'll just do a babyface promo. He doesn't even give a shit at this point. But yeah, I'm down. I'm down for heel Danielson. Me and Mo went to the show where B-Dan did his heel turn the first time after the 60 minutes. It was against Hangman.
Hangman just won the belt. Sorry,
yeah,
you were so.
He was a straight up babyface. He was doing all those 60-minute matches, and no lead up to it. Just switched to heel in the ring, and it was so fucking good that we were just like, I don't give a shit. This man is a heel. This is great.
I will also say very clearly that was the same show that we got the start of MJF CM Punk, which arguably is one of the greatest, I think, feuds in AEW history, and it's very short history. So witness that spark. I'm just like, whoo, boy.
I think that show was that the one where Mox came back from rehab?
Went to, I think you, Eric.
That was the one after that. Okay. Yeah. So B-Dan can do whatever the fuck he wants. But yeah, talking about the William Regal thing, we talked about it last time, but that is a perfect example of Mox can't lead shit, because B-Dan was like building up a storyline with William Regal being beat up and stuff, and then they give the mic to Mox, and Mox gonna Mox. Mox, you would have thought that Mox didn't know who the fuck William Regal was. He was like
Regal had his goodbye message and was like, John Moxley, he'll know what I'm talking about. And John looked at the camera like some office, like, what's his name, Jim situation. He was just like,
like I don't know what you're talking about.
Blade. So that was like
he got that mic and he was like, yeah, whatever the fuck these people are talking about. All right. Who wants to fight me? And I was like, what are you doing?
So, honestly, that's what makes me love Mox.
I love Mox. I love Mox so much. He can do no wrong in my book. I listened to him narrate his whole biography, and that man is living in like Escape from LA or something. I don't know, but he's having a blast, whatever he's doing. And I'm stoked for him. But
so we got to get to Jay White versus Anakin Rope Walker.
Yeah, well, just touch real fast. Wardlow lost the belt to Hobbs.
Oh yeah,
or Wardlow won the belt against Hobbs.
That was next. I thought that Rope Walker was next. That was
next. Jay White might have been before, but yeah, the Hobbs lost the belt, which I don't know why. Like, I don't really get.
Here's the thing with that. I don't understand this whole thing. Maybe it was to get heat on Hobbs and to give him a little bit more character development, but I don't think he comes out of this better or worse. It's just kind of blah. Like, what was the point? They had great matches where they were beating the shit out of each other, but like they weren't as good as they could have been because the story was like blah.
Bro, but they have had these same matches for years. Like, I don't know why. It's either Hobbs fights Ricky Starks or he fights Wardlow, and that's it. Like, that's all you get.
Honestly, to Aaron, to your point from earlier, I think it's one of those things where, like, the mystery of TK's booking is just like, I think he maybe thinks hot potatoing it creates this, like, frenzy of, like, oh, like, who's going to get it next? Listen, for the sake of time, I'm not going to get on my TNT Championship soapbox and how I feel like that title is in the gutter right now, but I completely agree with you in that, like, what did this do for Hobbs? Not a damn thing. You know, like, the idea that TK should pull the trigger on someone and he misses the boat sometimes, I think this was it. I had no idea why Hobbs was with QT Marshall. Not an inkling. If you can tell me, let me know. Text me, email me, because that shit didn't make sense. And now look at him right now. He had to lay on that.
Like the whole belt getting stolen
Which
thing.
Is real. People keep thinking it's a shoot. Nah, people get their shit stolen at SF all the time. It's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that story was real, but the fact they made it a storyline. Like, we already had Jericho's belt stolen, and he made it a storyline. We already had who was the other person that got their belt stolen? Somebody else too.
Maybe it was Wardlow again. I don't fucking know. But they also, like, going off the hot potato thing, they hot potato it between the same four people. The same four people have had the fucking TNT belt. It's Wardlow. Hobbs just got it for the first time. and I was like, just keep it on him
Thank
for
you.
a while. It's either between them or they hot potato it between Darby and Sammy Guevara. So it's like,
And I don't. It doesn't create any sort of excitement for me as someone who saw what Cody did with it, with what Miro did with it, what Darby did with it. I'm
Darby did the errand for like maybe you don't know. I don't know if you were watching then, but like Darby did like he treated it like the U.S. belt with
well,
John Cena. Like he would call out people every week to like
he did
wrestle, and that
like
was
he
his thing.
was. That's how we got Eddie Kingston. That's how we got Ricky Starks. Was Cody calling people out from other promotions, and they were.
Oh, I was saying Darby
Yeah.
did that, but Cody did it too. That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
that's why I'm just like, what this idea of hot potatoing, I'm not into it. Cut that shit out, TK. Is what this my belief.
Yeah, just keep it on Hobbs. And the QT thing was actually fucking growing on me a little bit. Like I was like not bothered by it anymore. I thought some of it was fun. And
And
I
this is
hate
why,
QT, so it's like, come
and
on.
this is why you keep it on Hobbs, because if you were just going to do this, it loses the effectiveness of Hobbs even having it. Like,
Yeah.
why the fuck did he beat Wardlow after one night and then only keep the title
Yeah.
for a month? Like, at least make it seem like Wardlow had a Happy Corbin fall where he like really, really, really is depressed and in the gutter because he got his shit stolen and he lost his title the next night. And now, not only is he not in the picture with Hobbs anymore, Hobbs beat him twice, so he's all the way back down at the bottom and has to work his way back up. And let Hobbs have that title for 7 months, 6 months. And then when Wardlow finally gets back up, Wardlow takes it and has it for a year and a half. You know what I mean? Like, do something like that. Don't just
And then to your point too, not only did Hobbs lose it, he's completely cast aside now because who's the next contender? Luchasaurus. Spooky ass.
That's what they're doing. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, at the end of the match. Yeah.
That's fine.
Sure.
Whatever. Take it off of him fast, though. Like, give it to Luchasaurus fast and let Super Shredder
No,
baby.
no,
Yeah.
no. Because then Wardlow is just a piece of shit. Then,
Wardlow's had this belt 47 times. I don't want to see him with the belt
here's the
anymore.
thing. He's never had the reign. So
He did have a reign. He had like fucking 6 months with it.
Wardlow, let me just talking. I'm gonna pull
Yeah.
this up.
Yeah, pull it up because
I feel like every time I turn around, this motherfucker has the TNT belt.
you can't have him just lose the title after getting it for one night and then have Luchasaurus come back and beat him after he's had it for a month.
Yeah,
It's
he's
like,
going to
bro,
hit him in the face with his little shoulder spikes, like, and then he's going to win. It's going to be game over. You can't fight the Super Shredder.
I
She's
love
mutated,
Luchasaurus.
baby.
I love Luchasaurus, but it's like, at what cost? You just want to sacrifice everybody?
At what cost? What? The cost is that we take the fucking TNT belt off Wardlow? Fine. I'll pay that cost.
I think
Ring me up, baby. Ring me up. I don't
I
need
like
it.
Luchasaurus better than Wardlow personally, but I think that Wardlow has a higher ceiling than Luchasaurus.
Yeah, but he's been at the same fucking place in that ceiling for like the last 2 years. I don't know if they've like developed him at all past the early stuff that he did with MJF, where you thought he was an actual fucking monster.
A lot of that is booking too, though.
That is booking. They didn't let him talk that much because he's definitely a dude that can have either a really, really good promo or like a whoo, what you just do, Wardlow.
Okay, so here's some quick facts. Wardlow has held it 3 times. He's also the second longest reigning TNT champion, or excuse me, third, after Cody and Miro.
Okay.
And that's when he first won it back in, July of last year from Scorpio Sky, who also, where is he, you know?
How long did Miro
had
have
it for 140. Wardlow had it for 136.
That's crazy.
The longest,
Okay.
longest reigning was Darby Allin.
Yeah, because Darby's had it like 4 times or
Don't make me
something.
count.
He's had it. He's had it a lot. They just like whenever Wardlow like stops getting over with the fans, they just throw Darby out there to win it again.
Had it 4 times already. This is
okay.
Anyways, so this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's just like, but at what cost? You know, I think Wardlow's push. I think the moment that MJF shit started happening, where people didn't know if he was going to show up at the pay-per-view. He talking about he's leaving. He was pissed off or whatever. I think from that moment on, Wardlow has just been dealt a shitty hand, kind of. Because I haven't been really interested Sorry, Wardlow.
Sorry, baby. You ain't doing nothing cool.
Um, Aaron, you want to talk about this?
Hobbs was though.
You want to talk about
Huh?
Jay White Commander is next.
Oh, Anakin Rope Walker. Yeah. All right,
You're
here's the
so
thing.
stoked on this name that you figured out, baby.
I'm stoked on it because I love when I see the first match by somebody and I don't like it, and then I see another match by them and I'm like, okay, they're good. So AEW Reddit was giving it to me because I was talking shit about the Rope Walker last week. And well, here's the reason why was, and we're gonna get to this when we talk about Vikingo, but there's a difference between doing shit just to do it and doing shit because it makes sense. And here's the issue. With Jay White in this match, they had an awesome match. In my opinion, this was the match of the show. The reason they had an awesome match was because you had Jay White in there who was injecting psychology and actual pro wrestling into the match. So it was like every time that rope walker tried to walk the rope and do his shit, Jay White would do something to stop him, because why the fuck would you stand there and let this motherfucker run across the ropes and take 10 seconds to dive onto you while you're waiting to catch him, and then do it again to you, and then do it again to you? You know what I mean? That's why I didn't like that Sammy Guevara match. It's like, call me old school, whatever the fuck, but pro wrestling to me is a simulation of a fight. And in a fight, if I see somebody if we're outside of a bar and I see somebody hop up onto a ledge and run across it in the middle of the fight, I'm gonna fucking run over and trip their legs off the shit and have them bust their head on the bricks. So that's why I thought this match was good, because it made sense. Like I thought the match with him and Sammy was not good. But anyway, that's besides the point. Jay White, I think he has a chance to really be a player, but you know, it all goes back to Tony Khan's booking and how much they try to keep his momentum. I think he needs to be immediately injected into an international title picture. I think him and Orange Cassidy would be a great feud, great match. Just throw him in there. Have him beat Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy's had the belt long enough. I think he's a formidable challenger. Build him up over the next couple of weeks. Throw him against Orange Cassidy. That's what I think.
And they're doing that weird, like, I guess, Buddy Matthews fought Orange last Dynamite, and it was a really good match.
Mm.
But yeah, with like Jay White here, what do you do with him to like establish him as a huge character? You could give him like that belt that Orange Cassidy's holding, and that would make more sense than him losing it to Buddy or losing it to Alistair or anybody in the House of Black, because it's like they already have the trios titles. I don't think they're going to lose them anytime soon. They're not a group that needs more than one belt. Like, I don't think it benefits them at all. And whenever you do that, it kind of like takes away, I think, from the belts that they have if they have another one. So give it to somebody like Jay White and be like, he's the man. He's here now. He's here to stay. We're going to see him regularly, because he's been in and out so much over the years that like casual watchers will be like, oh, it's that guy again. You know, he'll be here for like a cup of tea and then he's gone. Rather than, no, he's here to stay for a long time, and he's going to be like a dominant force in AEW, I think.
Yeah, it just sucks because there's so many great performers in AEW that in a perfect world, I would say Tony Khan, give them the Hall and Nash treatment, him and Juice Robinson. Give them that treatment, you know, like on Nitro in 96 or whatever they came in. Give them that treatment. But there's also a lot of moving pieces with AEW. So
you also can't have, you know, Juice getting the Scott Hall thing when he's wearing a shirt that says he's rock hard or whatever the fuck it is.
That feels appropriate. I don't know if my recollection of NWO is correct.
When you're dating Tony Storm, baby, I guess you're always rock.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. I mean, I'm gonna be completely transparent in that I have largely blocked out Jay White's everything since getting back into wrestling. So I'm totally basing like my understanding of Jay White comes from y'all, comes from IWC. Like, I think at this point I'm one of those people who, like, Jay White came in and like, this is an opportunity to prove his worth to me, because I know he was he was the New Japan champion at one point. Y'all can correct.
Yeah, he was a Ring of Honor for a little bit too.
I don't know. I don't know if he was the New Japan like full on champ. I think
he
he
was.
was. I
He
thought
was
he was like just
IWGP
the
champ.
U.S. or whatever champ.
He was IWGP and US champion,
Okay, all right.
and he was the tag. I think he was. I think he's a Triple Crown champion.
Because there's not a lot of like white dudes that have gotten the big championship belt, right? Like there's
Yeah.
only like two of them.
It's like
So
him, Kenny, and
Kenny
Jericho. I think.
Did Will
yeah, because
Ospreay get it or no? Okay.
No.
and
And that's a whole other conversation. Will Ospreay should have been IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, but
Wow.
that's a whole other.
well, it's all. I mean,
Him and Kota Ibushi. Kota
Will
was never champ either.
He was.
Kota was champ.
Kota was champ.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was champ before all his bullshit happened.
So yeah. Other than Jay
love-
White, I affectionately call him Trent Reznor because he kind of has the 9-inch nails face. But that, like, I know nothing about that guy, so I'm like excited
Yeah.
to see like why people keep. There are some people who are upset that he wasn't immediately injected into a feud with like MJF or Adam Cole or someone who's like in the heavyweight like contendership right now. But I'm also just like, well, why? So I'm like, TK, prove me, you know?
But it's also like I feel like he needs to prove himself a little bit before any of that because he did come in during the Forbidden Door
Right.
stuff last year, and he did not stand out at all. Like I feel like everybody outshone him. And I know that Ospreay was here at the same time, but he just seemed like the Elite's like little buddy that like
Little friend.
he's a little friend, and he didn't really like stand out to me at all.
That's that Bullet Club thing. There's been like a bajillion leaders of the Bullet Club, and he just happens to be the latest casualty of being another leader of the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you do it, the more it's watered down. It's like, okay.
Who's the
Adam Cole
leader?
was the last one that mattered.
Who's the leader after Kenny?
After Kenny, it was Adam. It was either AJ
Oh,
or
it was Adam Cole.
Adam Cole.
Cole's
Adam
leading
Cole was the
Kenny?
last one that mattered.
That don't make no sense.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Kenny took the
Right.
leader from AJ.
Kenny's the leader from AJ. It was Finn, AJ,
I know
Kenny,
Adam
Adam
Cole
Cole.
got kicked out because he went to WWE. Or
Well, yes, it happened. So this was in Ring. This was a lot. This was going on in Ring of Honor a lot. The Bucks and Adam Cole, that whole kissing each other,
Right.
kissing them on the cheeks shit, that all started when he was in the Bullet Club as a leader. So the Bucks turned on Adam Cole at a Ring of Honor event. I forget what the match was. It was the Bullet Club, which was the Bucks and Adam Cole versus I forget who they were going against. But this is when Jay White took over the Bullet Club. It was in Ring of Honor. I forget. This was like.
and you said Jay White took over the Bullet Club.
Jay White took over the Bullet Club after Adam Cole.
Listen. See, you can tell Bullet Club again. It's over there, like it's in nebulous, but I never really paid attention to it.
Yeah.
Was Tama Tonga was never the leader, right?
Amatonga, I think there was a point in time where it was like there was conversations about
Like him and Jay White
him and Jay
against.
White,
Okay.
that type of thing. But I don't watch enough New Japan to really know. I'm basing this all off of Ring of Honor when I was still watching.
And it's funny because so for this Commander match, all that you're saying is correct, but I guess like because we talked about the last match that he had against Sammy, and you pointed out his like just tightrope running stuff, I just fucking could only focus on that the entire match, and I was like, well, he messed up that spot, and now he's getting balanced for a whole minute so that he can run across the rope. And it's a cool move, but it's like you're in AEW, like they do those moves all the time.
And the psychology of the match, it made sense this time because he kept getting stopped from doing it.
Yeah,
And then when he finally did it, the pop was bigger than the 4 times he did it in the match against Sammy Guevara.
that's true.
And that's how you should do it.
Yeah. And then speaking of Sammy Guevara, they finished off the show, Sammy versus Jungle Boy, which I thought was great match all around. They were crushing it. Jungle Boy wasn't talking. He was just laying in the smackdown. Sammy Guevara was going off. They were doing some moves where I was like, bro, you don't have to, physically damage yourselves at the end of Dynamite. But it was a really good match that showcased like just how fun this Pillars match is going to be when all 4 of them are in the ring together.
Yeah, I I don't have anything more to say. I think,
Me neither. But who wins between Darby and Sam, or who's Darby and
It'll be
Jungle
Darby and Sammy.
Darby and Sammy?
Darby probably wins, but I don't think any of them win. Like the next match will probably be some like fuckery like this one was, so that they can set up the actual 4-way match at the pay-per-view. And that way it's like nobody won, and then Sammy at the end like turns on MJF again.
True, because MJF bought out
yeah.
Sammy.
Yeah.
He made him sign the check.
I thought they were doing the Batista Randy thing at the end, where MJF had hoisted Sammy up on his shoulders, and I thought he was just going to do the drop to the ground. But no, it was just like, yeah, MJF believes that he's on his side, and I think there's no chance in hell that lasts unless they do something where it's like rather than a 4-way match, they do a tag match between Darby and Jungle against Sammy and MJF. But
did y'all notice Sammy Guevara has a new entrance video?
Did he get rid of the Dragon Ball Z one?
He did. It's still anime, but it's no longer like just his name in Dragon Ball Z. It's like him fight. Did you notice it? It was like scenes.
I didn't even notice.
It was like manga scenes of him fighting Darby Allin and shit.
Oh, that's hilarious. Cool. I did not notice that at all.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, is that where y'all think it goes? Like to just the 4-pillar match rather than anything that has to do with this tournament?
You know, I'm always tapped into chronically online, as they say. So people were thinking that it's actually going to be Sammy and MJF at the pay-per-view, and I'm not into that. I want the 4 of them. I think if I had a preference, I should phrase it like that. If I had a preference, I would want the 4 of them in a match versus the option of just Sammy versus MJF, if that makes sense.
Out of all 4 of them, if it was just going to be a 1-on-1, I would rather it be Sammy probably than Darby.
Darby and him already did it, so like they did that match Full Gear a couple years ago. So you know, we don't have to revisit it.
But it wasn't for the belt at that time, right? It was just Darby and MJF, which is fine. Like, you know, I just think it's too early to like push like a full belt run on Darby or anything like that, or like even get your hopes up for it. Just like let him continue being Darby.
He's got to retire Sting affectionately. Like it's going to be a friendly, like you're my mentor, my best friend. I got to put you out. So I'm looking forward to that when that happens eventually.
Nah, we all know who's going to retire Sting, and it's going to be by accident when Goldberg comes for his retirement match, unknowingly ending Sting's career as well.
Go home, Bill.
Oh, Billy. Oh, Billy in the AEW.
Dislikes on the short for that one, but go home, Bill.
Brett, they need than Goldberg because he talked shit about Rihanna on Twitter, so I'm over it. I'm telling you. Goodbye.
I wish I still had Twitter.
You talk shit on Rihanna. It doesn't matter how good a wrestling career you've had. You getting canceled, Bill.
See you next time.
You get done. You get done. And it wasn't even your wrestling that did it. It was the Rihanna hatred. Don't hate on Riri. Yeah, I'm just stoked for the for Double or Nothing. I think the pillar match is what should happen, and that way none of them get hurt by losing it at all.
Who takes
Jungle
the pin?
Boy? Absolutely.
Jungle Boy.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna
if
say
y'all
that
had said anybody else, sure. I would have been like, elaborate, because I just see how.
It's either Jungle Boy or something happens at the end of the match that nobody has to take a pin. I would say. Like or like somebody new shows up and like breaks it up or something. Like CM Punk comes back and breaks it up. Okay. CM Punk, he's in our hearts. But yeah, I'm stoked on it. Rampage this week. Didn't get to see.
We gotta talk about that Jericho Adam Cole.
Jericho Adam Cole
ending. That's right. That's right.
Talk about that.
Yeah. Pull my notes up.
Go for it then. Bring out the notes and let us know.
I'm excited.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Like this program You
Hmm.
can't fuck it up. You can't fuck it up. I think the promos are only going to get better because obviously Jericho was kind of just feeling out the temperature with Adam Cole. I think Jericho knows he's the big star. He doesn't have to do much. He kind of kept it simple, and Adam Cole won this one, of course, because Adam Cole pulled the stupid idiot line out. You know, I like how Chris Jericho, said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Cole, baby," and he brought up the baby thing for the people that know, because Jericho did the "Come on, baby." We know that's from Jericho, and Adam Cole admitted that. It was kind of like in 8 Mile when Eminem is doing his rap, and he says everything you're going to say about me, and he said it to you first. So Jericho had to pull the whole like, "Oh, thank you for the kind words, but I fucking don't respect you" type shit. Um, I think the promos are going to get better, and I think if this was the low point of where the promos are going to be, then I'm here for the promos more so than the match with these two,
Yeah.
personally.
No, I
Even though the
agree.
match is going to be great. So,
I
and the angle
mean,
thing was cool, but I have a question for you guys. When I was watching it, the way his hand was handcuffed to the rope was weird. I was like, is he just holding on to the rope or is he really handcuffed? Because, like, they never showed, but he had the thing around his wrist and he was holding on to the rope. But it was like the other
Oh,
cuff was hanging down. And the camera kept, like, moving real fast. And I was like, did they accidentally not, like,
I didn't notice, but that would not surprise me because production being entered into any AEW storyline has historically fallen flat at some
but
point.
the acting was A1.
The
Like,
acting was very good.
but the one thing I kept noting, I was like, is he really? I
I'm
was
gonna
like,
listen.
I don't know. You gotta go
I'm
back and watch it.
gonna while you're talking, I'm gonna pull it up because I need to see this.
Yeah, because it was really
Um,
weird.
mm, I
Well,
mean, mm,
it
oh,
or
I'm just
go man.
saying very quickly. I thought that was well, even in my heart, BCC was the highlight, but like objectively speaking, that was the highlight of the show for me. Just seeing them go back and forth. I think maybe Jericho had heard the criticisms that like when people get swept up with JAS, they get stuck there. They get on JAS Island and they're just there for like 6 months feuding back and forth into forever. And I'm hoping that, as y'all were saying, this will kind of put Adam Cole up to a place where he can challenge MJF. And I think Jericho understands that. I think the whole segment was tight. I love the swerve of the Outcast coming in and beating down Britt. I think that my only
Mm-hmm.
critique was that they should have choked her out. Like Britt still being able to like writhe around and be like Austin, and like I think that kind of took a little bit away from me because like if Austin is watching his girlfriend slash future wife be assaulted in the middle of the ring, like they should have went in on her a little bit more and like just straight up like quote unquote knocked her out. And I think that would have really sold it emotionally for me a little bit more when he's like, Britt, like yelling at her and she can't respond to him because she's out cold. Uh,
When he pulled that, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm so sorry. I was
But she still like, and
like,
also
yo,
from the camera, the way they shot it, she was like an inch away from him the whole time. So he could have theoretically reached out.
that's why I was wondering
Right.
about the handcuff, like, because he was like holding himself back, but then he started to move, and I was like, and his hand was
Right.
always
So
like
maybe he
this
was
on the
trying to
rope.
disguise the fact that Garcia didn't.
So I was like, how do you fuck that up? But
He
the
was
acting
trying.
was
He was
good.
trying to crush the
Okay.
handcuffs with his clench. That's all it was. Um, I I liked it a lot too, but I still stand by the fact like why do you have Britt doing like have her do one or the other? You don't have Jamie Hayter in this, so even though Britt's getting beat down, Britt's not the fucking focal point of the Outcast Jamie Hayter stuff. Jamie Hayter is, so
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. Just have them do one or the fucking other. Like, don't make them do
he's handcuffed.
everything.
He's handcuffed to the rope. So
Okay.
yeah, they basically I
Okay.
think what they should have done was have it handcuffed to the rope and then handcuffed to him. So that way he's like just that
Right. So his wrist
right.
was handcuffed with the rope. Okay, because I was like, the way it was
Yeah,
on there
yeah.
was
I
so
think
weird.
I think Garcia should have. I think what he was supposed to do was handcuff it to the rope, and
Right, because the visual of him
right,
yanking the chain
right. But
wasn't there.
nah, Garcia was like, "No, buddy, bloop bloop, you over
In the words of Daniel
here."
Bryan or D-Bry, B-Dan,
Be
whatever you
Dan.
call him.
Get it.
Amateurs.
Amateurs.
Yeah, but you
Amateurs. But it was a great segment.
I'm stoked for it. I would love to see them wrestle in the ring. I'm actually stoked for the match too. I think Jericho's had really good matches lately,
He has.
and Adam Cole showed that like he hasn't lost a fucking step in that Daniel Garcia match, where they did every fucking dangerous neck spot that you could do in a match, just to be like, I ain't hurt, I can take all this, and I'd be like, I wish you wouldn't. I wish you wouldn't do that. Can you just take a clothesline, my man, or like a suplex? You know, like you don't gotta fall on your neck
and
so
I will
much.
say too, to bring back to your point about Jamie Hayter, they could alley oop this into a Britt versus Jamie because Britt could be like, "Where the fuck were you? You saw me getting my ass beat. You saw Adam Cole like taped to the rope, or excuse me, handcuffed to the rope. Where were you, Jamie? Like, where was Riho? Where was Sky Blue? Like, I thought y'all had my back and you didn't. So like, fuck you. Let's go. You know, if they wanted to really get
And
two storylines out of this, they could go that route, I think.
And if they did that and they did the Outcast fighting each other at the same time, you would have cool fucking stories in
At
the
this
women's division each
multiple
week.
women's storylines at the same time. And like Jade and Taya Valkyrie is also a thing that's happening. So
And then you have Jade just over there just being like, and I will destroy everybody that comes in my way.
The battle of the finishers.
The Taya thing is cool, but yeah, they have the same finisher. Taya actually seems threatening after that Ebi Sakura match, but she ain't winning. Come on, she's not like she's getting her ass beat.
I don't know.
Nah, they're keeping it. They're keeping it for Statlander. I still think that that's happening. Statlander comes back at Double or Nothing probably, because I think she's clear next month. So, Stat comes back, and then you have the TNT Women's Champion and the regular heavyweight champion, both from Long Island, New York. The birth of muscles and creativity, baby, is Long Island, New York, where I'm from. It is not corrupt. It is full of great people like MJF and very tall
Aaron,
Chris
can you
Statlander.
write down an hour and 17? Edit all that out. We don't need take that timestamp and edit all that out. We don't need all that.
Are you not a Chris
Oh no,
Statlander
I
fan? I don't know
love
much
Chris
about Chris
Statlander.
Statlander.
I'm talking about the muscles, Long Island. We know that's
Oh.
It's called Strong Island for a reason, my friend.
need-
Because we're also strong-willed and strong body.
I like a little tomato sauce on my pizza.
that was the worst accent I think anybody's ever tried for a person from New York.
I'm gonna leave all that alone. I'm gonna let y'all have that.
I'm just canceling this whole section.
Let's get to Rampage, goddammit.
All right, let's get to Rampage. We're just going to talk about the two big ones, I guess. Christopher Daniels versus Mox, which that's cool as shit. I haven't seen Christopher Daniels in a while. I guess he came out. Did he face off with MJF or was it with
MJF
B-Dan?
on behalf of Bryan Danielson?
That's what it was. Yeah. And he still looks good. I love Christopher Daniels. How's the match?
Even with the gut, he gets it done. And I think this is a cool match. This is the first time him and Mox have fought in AEW, right?
AEW has proven that guts don't matter when it comes to wrestling.
At the end of the day, internally, they all have guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the first time they fought in AEW, though.
That might be hard because Daniels was part of SCU, and I feel like he was fighting a lot of different people at that time. So I think they could have fought maybe on like Rampage or something, but But this is the first time in a long ass time.
If so, yeah.
Yeah.
Good match. Solid.
Did it move the storyline forward at all, or was it just like Mox just beaten?
It was just a Mox victory. Was there a beatdown or anything? No, it was just a Mox victory. Oh, in the backstage, yes. In the backstage, Christopher Daniels was, you do have some honor left because Mox was like, this is Christopher Daniels, we're going to leave him alone. And of course, he pulls the whole walk away, turn around, and beat your ass type shit. So.
Well, good for him.
Put more heat on him.
Mox be Moxin'. He's a brawler, baby. Did he bleed without being touched? Did he come to the ring bleeding?
We ain't gonna see no blood from this man for a while he's a heel. He's keeping it in his body. So get used to that.
I gotta see it to believe it. All right. This is one match. That's one match. Get him in with one of those like younger dudes like Dante Martin or something, and he'll be like, I ain't doing no goddamn jumps. I'm just blading, and I'm gonna look bloody, baby.
If he does stay dry, I'm sure that Miss Paquette Moxley will be very happy about that. No more
that
blood
poor
on her
woman. He be putting her through the
So-
ringer with his just on wrestling alone. She's like, Lord, I gotta find out you exploding.
We can't have white towels in this fucking house no more. They're just covered in blood all the time.
Yeah.
Garbage, you garbage human being. But then the other big one was Vikingo versus Realistico. Wait, which was the other one?
Jeffrey Nero Hardy, you're forgetting.
Oh, young Jeffrey Nero Hardy. Have they done the full turn to Broken again? Because Matt Hardy on Dynamite was doing a lot of deletes, like more than normal, and he was being, what's his name? Brother.
He's Matt Hardy and his brother. Yeah.
He's just Matt Hardy. Okay, he's Broken Matt Hardy. That's all it is.
Jeff in the background is so great. Every time Matt almost smacks him, he goes. He goes.
I thought we're having a Hardy compound match. I thought it was the Firm versus whatever they call themselves, and
yeah, they're going to do that, but they haven't announced when it's happening yet.
I'm so stoked for that. So excited.
If they do fucking something with this one, they've done so many of those goddamn matches, and I feel like they've all been like diminishing returns each time. So they need to do something big, like set the baby on fire, throw him at somebody. Like, I don't know. We got.
You talking about King Maxwell?
King Maxwell. King Maxwell needs to like raise zombies out of the backyard or some shit. I don't know.
They're gonna bring in
something
someone
fun
who's not signed to WWE, so like quick Gangrel pop probably. They're gonna get the kids involved, that's for sure. And then whatever the Lake of Reincarnation, they're gonna have a spot there. So it's like, and I feel like Stokely's gonna be very black and just very amazing and on the compound with his little quips. So it's gonna be.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh yes. I got to talk about Stokely. I want to say, so in my opinion, Stokely Hathaway is if not the most underrated performer in the wrestling industry. He's top 5. Like this man's promos, every time he speaks, I fucking pop. Every time he speaks, like literally, he said. Talking about trying to get on the line with Jeff Hardy. He was like, I called you, I texted you. He's like, I paged you. I called your wife and she just said you're too busy at the house doing this. And then like, to put the cherry on top, he's like, all right, whatever, that's cool. I'm going to leave y'all alone. And then like, the goons are behind him to jump him. And he goes off screen and while they're getting jumped, he comes back and goes, damn, that's crazy. Stokely Hathaway. Like another great thing he did. That shit was Hook when he went against Hook for the FDR championship. All that shit was gold, bro. Like I've loved Stokely since he was in Ring of Honor doing shit with who was he? He was a manager for some chick in Ring of Honor. I forget her name, but Stokely's great. I love it, and I like that ego. I like that all ego is kind of taking the role as the muscle of the group and getting more of a push, if you will.
Wait, is Ego back in that group now?
Yeah, it's Ego, Big Bill, and who's the third person? I forget.
Can we just let that man not be in a fucking group for 5 seconds and just like let him wrestle on? And we're back. Stokely Hathaway was what we were talking about. Yeah, I just I don't want to see Ethan Page in another group. I feel like he's been in a group since he got here, and I'm tired of it.
I agree with you on that. I think should be in the TNT title contendership, like
Yeah,
legitimately. I also think the firm got dealt a real bad hand because apparently CM Punk was supposed to be working with them pretty closely, and then Brawl Out happened. So like they were just trying to figure it out, and I think recently what they've done with themselves, as far as just like trying to get over, I love it. I love everything they did with Matt Hardy, bringing him in, and Isaiah Cassidy, and then also just like the breakup now and bringing Jeff in. Was like super on board as them being like just a fun mid card act. And I think it's Ethan, I think it's Stokely, I think it's the Hardy Boys, I think it's Isaiah. Like they all just mesh well together.
I will tell you one thing, in my opinion,
Mm.
that can take the firm to the next level. If you insert a true tag team into that, and what do I mean by that? You bring back a certified G and a bona fide stud, and you can't see that. You bring him in with Big Bill, and they're the tag team of the group.
we don't need AEW getting canceled because that little troll says
Listen,
some shit on TV.
I will say this though, people like there's some wrestlers who I'm very shocked at who back that dude still. So he could come. We don't know.
And let's be honest. Fuckery aside, Enzo Amore is fucking great.
I
He's fucking
I
great.
went on his Instagram and I did watch some of his most recent promos, and I was like, damn man, like
He's still
this
good.
might get me
He's still
canceled.
good.
This might get me canceled. I was like, he can talk and it sucks.
You can say some crazy shit. But
Humans are complex. That situation fucking sucked for everybody involved, and he lost his job because of it. And we still to this day, like, whatever. But the man can talk.
we can move on.
It's all good.
Vikingo. Let's talk about some people of color.
Hulkamania, the time of Hulkamania has passed, and the time of Vikingo has arrived.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out on Rampage, but I'm guessing some cool flips happen. Some cool.
The little I saw, I think Aaron, you might have to take it away because I only caught a little bit of it.
Really good match. Here's the thing. Like I said earlier, that Tony Khan giving TV time to this match and taking it away from other stories can be counterproductive. But in this case, I give it a pass because everything about Vikingo to me says a star.
Yeah.
His attire's cool. His hair's cool. His entrance is cool. His moves are cool. Like everything he does is cool. And unlike some people that have a very high flying base moveset, everything he does looks like it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
He's very good at setting up spots. Rarely do you see him have to stand on something and balance for 10 seconds before he does a flip. Like he's just, I don't know if he drinks like 10 Red Bulls before a match, but it's like he's on point. Like he's very methodical with his movement in the ring, and Jalisco was a good foil for him. My thing is now, do we see Roosh face him next? Because at the end of the match,
I love Roosh, so
yeah, Roosh.
Bring that on.
At the end of the match, Roosh and all his goons came out, and jumped him. So
here's the thing, and I've always had a problem with this, but why make it like belt matches when they're not belts from AEW? They're not losing the fucking belt. Like it's like.
Yeah, we know this is a showcase match for Virginia.
Yeah, right.
We know what it is.
Because it was like when Mox had like those IWGP belts, and you would just be like, "Why are you defending this on here, man?" Like, I'm glad to see the match. I might not have gone out of my way to see it on New Japan, but it's like still like, who's winning. Like, why?
This is the thing that goes back to those subtle booking decisions, right? Like, if you're going to put Vikingo on your show, I don't know what your handshake agreement is with, AAA in Mexico, but if you're going to put him on at your show, have him go against somebody on your roster.
Yeah.
To give him cachet within your company, But it's neither here nor there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm stoked to see him, and I'll go back and watch it. Definitely. The belt thing doesn't like bother me in this case, because there's no real I don't know. There's no real drama to it. It's just like come watch a cool match. But
Yeah.
With Kenny, it made sense.
yeah,
But
yeah.
you know,
Right. 'Cause they had
give him
to,
credit on that one.
Kenny had to drop it because he went out on injury.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, that was like the highlights of Rampage, and now we're gonna move on to some little fun bookings and a little top list of our top finishers. Before we get to our top finishers, which I think will be very fucking similar, but maybe not. I picked some random ones, but they're like some that you have to put on the list, so it's like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We just want to do like one of us at a time, kind of goes around and does our dream match for Wembley Stadium. So since you are our guest, Mo, you can go first. Let us know what you want to see on the biggest stage of them all.
Yeah. I thought about a couple, but I think one that maybe y'all might not share, Jamie Hayter versus Soraya. And the reason why I think specifically both of those women being from over there, sorry to y'all, I don't know where specifically, but I do know you're English.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be huge to see two women from their home country kind of go at it. And I think again, I know we just talked about how Soraya, like her wrestling has been okay, but maybe this is an opportunity for her to like really train and then like step it up. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Jamie Hayter versus Soraya, hopefully AEW Women's Championship on the line.
And Jamie, I think she does this better than Britt, as like cleaning up anybody else's faults. Like she can make a match look 10 times better than it should be just by like covering up the weaknesses of who she's facing off again. Kind of like how Danielson can do.
Right.
So yeah, that match would be awesome. Like the old generation English wrestler versus the newer generation. I kind of like going off of that match. I kind of had maybe Mercedes versus somebody. If they do Mercedes versus Britt at Forbidden Door, then you could set it up to where it would be like Mercedes versus Jamie or Mercedes versus Soraya. If you're going to have two women's matches, like Mercedes and Soraya versus Britt and Jamie, and then the other match be Jamie versus Britt. So I don't know, but
they might
yeah,
at Forbidden Door, Soraya and Jamie, or Mercedes. Excuse me. Sorry.
I thought wasn't the rumor that it was going to be like Mercedes and Britt though?
Yeah. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, you might have to edit this part out.
That that would also like make sense to what we were talking about earlier, where it's like if that's the goal, then it does prove that it like Britt just gets to do whatever she wants. Story be damned. So, you should definitely have it as Jamie versus Mercedes, but if they do it as like a Britt tests Mercedes thing, and then Jamie fights Mercedes at the big Wembley thing, then that would be cool too. So I don't know. Yeah. Aaron.
Yeah. So I for this, like, because I didn't really have a lot of time to think on it. So for this, I had to get myself out of the mindset of thinking that any of the dream matches I want would happen, because we know what a lot of the top stars are going to be doing for that night probably. But I had two. The first one is one that's definitely not going to happen, and that'd be Sting versus CM Punk. We know what Punk is doing.
Oh shit!
We know what Punk is probably going to be doing, but I'd love to see Sting and Punk. But one that's a little bit more realistic that probably could happen, but probably isn't, because we know what one of the guys is probably going to be doing. Especially since it's in England, I'd like to see Nick Aldis come in, even though he just signed with Impact. I'd like to see Nick Aldis versus Kenny Omega. I don't think that match has ever happened, to my knowledge. So I think that'd be a great match to see, Nick Aldis and Kenny Omega. That's what I would say. But we know Kenny's going to be doing some trio shit or something with the BCC. So
I think. So I was going up because when we were guessing on this last week, we were talking about how we thought it would be CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite, but I could see the BCC as well. My dream match that I think would be really cool to do in England would not be Kenny with the Elite, but be Kenny and Coda do the Golden Lovers versus Osprey and the Kingdom or whatever. That's his team, right? No. What is it?
Aussie Open.
Aussie Open.
Oh, Aussie Open. But aren't they called like the Empire or something like that?
United Empire.
The United Empire. Okay, yeah. I think that would be like a cool, because TK is throwing some money at this event. I feel like you're gonna get like maybe a Nick Aldis. You're gonna get cross promotion with every other big company that's not WWE to sell out this shit. So Coda's been floating around for a while. He hasn't really shown up anywhere. Maybe GCW or something like that. Or
WM Bloodsport.
Okay. And that's like lately you go there and then show up on AEW like 2 weeks later. So I could see Coda coming in.
Speaking of Bloodsport, isn't Timothy Thatcher in AEW?
I don't think he's signed to AEW, but he's worked matches in ROH and AEW in the past. Yeah.
Okay. He's on that roster not being used. That's a crime. But anyway.
I don't think the roster's so loaded, he shouldn't be anywhere near it. And that's not to his ability. It's just because there's so much happening.
I agree.
But yeah, my reasoning is like Coda old. He's older. He's gotten injured a lot. So if you're gonna do like something big, I probably don't want to see him do a weekly show where he's jumping onto his head every week. But if they want to do something big, one last Golden Lovers versus like England's biggest star and Will Ospreay would be pretty fucking cool. But I could also see them doing like a Bullet Club versus United Empire thing too. Because I guess Jay White's just as over as any of those dudes would be over there. So
I
don't know.
Toss this out. Bryan Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. probably should happen there.
I would love
Forbidden
that.
Door 2. Either one of those shows. We also have to keep in mind too that All Out is happening a week or two after this Wembley show. So some of the stuff we want may actually happen on All Out and not actually at Wembley.
Yeah.
We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, those are all good dream matches, I think, right? We can get a good Wembley show. Just book the fuck out of this, TK.
Oh, he will, because if they're trying to get close to selling it out, they got to put some names on this.
They don't have to get close to selling it out, in my opinion.
You can sell it out at different stages too.
70,000 people or something. Like they only need to get 50,000, and that's good enough.
I think there's like different tiers too of like what they open the stadium to. So it's like 30,000, 50,000, 70,000 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. It's 90,000 capacity. So people, like you were saying, Aaron, if it's 50K, they're like, great, we did it.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those stadiums that, even though it's like a big deal, kind of lends itself to not being completely full if it's just going to be a ring in the middle of all that chaos, So
mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I can't wait for that. Yeah, we're gonna finish off today's video by going over our favorite finishers of all time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
This is where WWE gets a little love from me
mm-hmm.
for the first time all video. We did 5, right? So we got 5 finishers.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to do like one, then someone does one, then someone does one, then we just bring it back around?
That works. Mo, you want to go first? You're the guest.
Okay. So I will want to preface this to say that I wrote out 5, but this is in no way a hierarchy in any. I just threw down 5. So when I say number 5, it's just there. So my number 5, Mankind's Mandible Claw. And this is why, because it, to me, isn't an effective finisher technically. No, you're just sticking a hand in somebody's mouth and wrenching down their jaw. Fine. But I think what I really appreciated about that finisher is Mankind, the character, the whole setup to it. And anytime he did it, he got a pop. You put the Sacco on into the mouth, and you kind of have a little bit of that with Britt Baker now too, with her lockjaw situation. So I just remember being a kid watching Mankind and loving when Sacco came out and loving when it went into somebody's mouth. That may have played into some kinks later, who knows? But all of that to say, shout out to my boy Mick Foley, an all timer with me, Mankind's Mandible Claw.
Bray Wyatt tried to use that for a little bit too.
Oh yeah. And also, I gotta say, the first Mandible Claw not as effective pre-Sacco when he was just doing the 2,
Mhm.
and then he added a little stank on it and threw that ball sweat in your mouth, and you felt bad. I think you felt really bad afterwards.
All of that, it's all of that like makes it to me like one of the greatest finishers of all time.
And it's cool that you brought that one up because I was not expecting to hear that one. And when I was making my list, I kind of used a few things to grade for like what constituted a finisher to be on here. And one of them was rarity and uniqueness. And that's a very rare and unique finisher. Like there's only been one person to effectively get that move over ever. So
yeah. Aaron, you want to go next?
So Aaron, what's yours?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll go next. Similar to you, Mo, I don't have a particular order. I do have like 2 that are 1 and 2 that I think are the 2 best of all time. So I'll start with the lower tiered ones. 5-star Frog Splash is just going to be number 1 for me. So my criteria was rarity or uniqueness, versatility, how protected the move is, and how much influence the move has. Those are the 4 things that I used. And the Frog Splash has not been protected very much, but it's versatile and it has influence. There's been a lot of people that use it. But for me, the 5-star Frog Splash, RVD, favorite wrestler of all time, besides Chris Jericho. Nobody does it like him. Montez Ford has a great one. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Kevin Owens. It's one of the most widely used high-flying moves. Influence, I think it deserves to be. If I was going to choose one top rope move to put in my top 5, it would be a Frog.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I picked a top rope move. Hold on.
I definitely did. And if you can't see it coming, I don't know if you know that.
I know what Moses, but I didn't pick a top rope move, and mine is definitely not based off of anything Aaron just said. I'm gonna go with the smallest one first that I think in most people's eyes they wouldn't think about it. But I'm going to go off of effectiveness to be used when you are 8 years old and your older brother is 5 years older than you.
Oh, yeah.
And the only move that I could use to take him out was Ken Shamrock's ankle lock submission.
Damn.
I thought about putting that one on my list, but I didn't. So that's a good one.
You can fuck any human being up with an ankle lock submission. All right. Mm-hmm. And if you make that Ken Shamrock face too, if you looking scary while you're doing it, just cherry on top, baby. Just get a little growl going and fuck up your brother's day with an ankle lock submission. That's one of my favorite moves as a kid.
I disagree that none of my criteria matches that, because I think it matches all those criteria. Like influence, effectiveness, rarity, and uniqueness, because really only Kurt Angle, Ronda Rousey, and him.
I forgot, Kurt did the ankle lock too, but Kurt did like the hold you in the... Yeah.
Brian might pull it out. He might pull it out every now and then,
Yeah, but Brian's like the man of every hold, so he'd do everything. I had like... That was like my one submission on there. I also had runners up the Lion Tamer and the Scorpion Deathlock.
Good one.
But all right, Mel. What's number 2?
All right, my next one, and this is just recency bias because I love watching her do it. Bianca's KOD is so sick. I was like trying to just look at all the women wrestlers and like whose move is like pops me the biggest, and I would say Bianca's KOD is like beautiful. So shout out to her. I think again, recency bias, but it's like we see it all the time. Obviously she's kind of like, people are feeling like she's in the Cena territory right now. But I feel like that move is effective. I don't know how you feel about it, but
it's protected. It's a protected move too.
Super.
Yeah, nobody's kicked out of it yet, have they? Or
I think Becky has.
Oh, Becky might have.
Mm.
Yeah, they would give that to Becky. Becky would get to kick out of it. But
do it. It's going to be one of the 4 horsewomen, I would think. But
yeah,
so that's my number 4.
All right.
what you got
Well,
here?
for the next one, I'm going to go to another one of the lower ones. And for me, the next one would be the Cutter. So you could say Diamond Cutter, RKO, Stone Cold Stunner. And that's how I put it on the list because the Cutter is that move,
Right.
but it's modified. You know, you got Cody Cutter. It's a very versatile move, and it's very effective, especially for not only, you know, stunning your opponent, but the crowd pop. Like the RKO is like every time an RKO is coming, people are like super excited for it. So
that was my number 2, so I took it off. But more specifically, the Diamond Cutter. Diamond Cutter.
That was one I was thinking that we would all probably have.
Yeah.
Stone Cold Stunner on mine. So
yeah,
I got a good follow up, so it'll be fun. But yeah, the Diamond Cutter, like when I was a kid, was like one of my favorite moves, and it is like I mean, it's what made the RKO made it like way more popular. I would say Cody Cutter too, but RKO is probably the biggest one. But it was so sick, especially in that storyline where DDP's like coming up in going against the NWO, and there would be all those turns, and then he would just be able to fucking hit that like out of nowhere, and you'd just be like, "This is so fucking cool," and you would get fucking, you'd go hard for that. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Did you have that on your list, man?
I had an RKO Stone Cold Stunner, so I would say yes, I had the Cutter on there somewhere.
Okay,
that was the one that I knew everybody.
Yeah, so we could take that off.
Yeah. Yeah, I just switched it out. All right, so this will be like my last one before it gets into like the obvious ones, I think. But now that we took the Cutter off, I have one that's like not as obvious. But this was like the original one that was like outside of the big ones for me. And that's everybody's favorite anime villain, Kenny Omega with the one-winged angel. That thing is so fucking cool, and it's based off a Final Fantasy game, which I love Final Fantasy. I love Sephiroth. I love that he incorporates all that craziness into his entrances, and that he fucking named his finisher. That is so cool. And yeah, it's just one of like the most fun moves to like look at, and the setup to it is always like really cool. So yeah, that's my AEW move right there.
Well, this one might, I guess technically is an AEW move now, but was something that was definitely put over heavily in WWE, WWF. Jeff Hardy Swanton Bomb, baby.
I saw that.
Listeners don't know this, but I was, and forever will be the Hardy Boys mark. It's just it's in my DNA at this point. They're the reason why I started watching wrestling. Jeff Hardy, I have cried so much over that man. He don't even know the tears I've dedicated to him. And so I had to put the Swanton Bomb. Now, here's the thing. I think Swanton Bomb as a move is not my favorite, but it's solely because Jeff Hardy does it. Is why I love it. That is it. If Jeff Hardy had a different finishing move, that one would be on this list. So all that
he made that move way cooler than it was. 100%. Because it's a cool move, but he even does it different than a lot of people were doing it at that time too.
Yeah, he likes to stick out his face so you can see all the weird patterns in his beard. Before he does that flip.
And the only person nowadays who I feel like gives it any justice is Isaiah Cassidy, because he gets air on that shit. I think he's looked really good when he gets the opportunity to do it. But Jeff Hardy Swanton Bomb, anyway, off the top of the ladder, off the top rope, love it.
I think Wardlow has a good one too.
He does, but not as
Wardlow has a good one. Yeah.
KO has a good one, but when they put those knees up, I'm scared.
Oh, Takeshita has a good one. Takeshita has that slow body one. It's just like the slowest flip in the world. But yeah, cool. Aaron, what you got?
So since you guys both had a Cutter-esque move and took one off, I'm going to take one off that I was going to say next just because I'll just say it. I was gonna say choke slam, but I'm gonna take that one off.
I didn't have choke
Didn't
slam,
have
so
chokeslam either.
Choke slam is just because it's very, versatile. You got Damian Priest does one into a backbreaker and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Anyway, long story short, get that out of here. But Pile Driver is the one I wanted to bring
Oh,
up. The Pile, specifically because of rarity, because in WWE you can't do Pile Drivers really. But also because of the versatility of the move. So you got the package Pile Driver, you've got the Meltzer Driver, you've got the fucking Canadian Destroyer Pile Driver. You know what I mean? And they all are devastating, and they all look like they really could fuck you up because they can.
Mm-hmm.
So Pile Driver. Oh, Tombstone Pile Driver. Kane and Undertaker.
Yeah, there you
Iconic.
go.
Like
Tombstone.
literally iconic.
Yeah. Just a big man throwing you into the ground forevermore. Rest in peace, baby. My one that I replaced with the Diamond Cutter, there was a close follow up anyway, is the Code Breaker. I fucking love the Code Breaker. It's another one of those moves, and I think like in AEW, it's used by a lot of people to just be a move that is like an RKO where you can do it pretty quickly and in any position. You can do it on people's backs. You can do on the front. Miz does it off like the turnbuckle. I don't know if they call it a Code Breaker when it's not Jericho, but Jericho obviously.
They do. I feel like Jericho's made it the Code Breaker.
Yeah,
so.
it's a fucking Code Breaker.
Yeah.
But Miz does it a lot, like we saw in that last Miz versus Seth Rollins match. He did like 2 or 3 different versions of it. And I just think, it's a cool move. I always get
too.
Isn't Sasha Banks does a modified version of that, the bank statement?
The bank statement, but now she has like that new finisher that she's doing. That she messed up on Kyrie the first time on her
it's like
premiere.
The reverse version of Jade's finisher.
Yeah, it's like she did it much better in the actual Kyrie match.
I think it's called like a gory slam or something.
I was like gory slam or gory bomb or something.
Glory hole. It's called the glory hole, and
y'all so nasty on this.
Okay. That's because we're at like an hour and 58 minutes, so like nobody's still listening at this point.
They better be.
Whose turn is it? Is it Mo's turn? It's Mo's turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to for the sake of time, I'm gonna skip this one because I wrote down Bryan Danielson everything. But again, it's a Jeff Hardy situation where I prefer the Bazaico knee just because it like very much similar to the vein, the energy of the RKO, it just comes out of nowhere. And I love when moves do that. But I'm just going to go straight to my number one is I fucking love a lariat. I wrote down the Rainmaker. I wrote down Jamie Hayter's and even modified the Buckshot lariat. Just like, and this all depends on who is selling it, who's taking it. Because I watched some of Jamie Hayter's earlier lariats and the people would just crumple and fall to the mat and it didn't look as effective as when someone's taking a lariat and they're doing a full 360 before they slam to the mat.
Oh, we talked about fucking Mommy Lariat and KO on last Raw.
Yeah.
KO flew through the air. Like it was the cool. It just made you be like, well, damn, don't fuck with Mommy afterward. Like she just killed that man.
JBL too.
What's
you gotta
that?
give JBL credit.
I will. I don't like JBL, so I try not to give him credit for anything. But I will say that like Clothesline of Hell was the first time I saw a lariat like that, and I was like, "Fuck yes!" Like,
but it is the same thing though, where the lariat of hell, like it was like some people wouldn't take that flip thing, and it just looked like they just like crumbled to the ground and died slowly.
Effectiveness, I'm not sure how you would rate it, but when it's done well, it looks beautiful. And I did also like rate my matches as far as like if I want to take this move ever in my life, and it's like I want to take a Bazaico knee, I want to take a fucking lariat. Let's go. I do want to take.
You are a glutton for punishment. I don't want to take either one of those.
Yeah, I don't want to take a fucking lariat from somebody.
Chops to the chest. I didn't put that on here because it's like, how would you rate that as a finisher? It's not really a finisher, but on the list of like top 5 moves I want to take myself, I want to chop. specifically.
I'll take a chop. But a knee, I don't know if I can sell that right. I might get knocked out by mistake.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing it for the cause. Do it for the bit. You know what I mean? But yeah, so
Get concussed for the bit. You know what I'm saying?
but yeah, number one all-time favorite finisher is a fucking lariat. Looks so good.
That's a good one.
I think me and Aaron have the same number
Okay.
one.
You think so? I don't think we do. Because my number one, and like I said, I was reading off the criteria that I put out earlier.
Well, I thought you said your number one already earlier, and if you said it, then it was because I thought you said you had this, and then number two was the cutter.
No. So number two is pile driver.
Okay.
Number one is the DDT.
Oh yeah. All right.
The reason the DDT is number one is because it is the most versatile move in wrestling history. You got the float over DDT. You got the tornado DDT. You got the springboard DDT. You got the DDT that Sami Zayn does through the turnbuckle off the floor. You got the paradigm shift. You got the double arm DDT. You got so many things you can do with the DDT. So to me, and it was born from like literally the most simple move ever. But like the way that wrestling has progressed, it's done in the most ridiculous tilt-a-whirl DDT. You know, it's done in the most ridiculous ways. So the DDT to me is the greatest finisher of all time.
I'm gonna say like a tie for number one, actually. But for me, the most like historically, like I guess ever since the Attitude Era, for me, the move that like people that don't watch wrestling will do when they think of wrestling is the Stone Cold Stunner. You know, like it's like that's it. The amount of stunners I've done to people is crazy, which I shouldn't be doing it because I'm gonna break somebody's teeth one day. But it's the stunner, and then because of like, I mean, it's not a finisher anymore. I don't think it sets up finishers, but the Sweet Chin Music's the other one.
I wanted to put that on, but I didn't. But Super Kick, I wanted to put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say specifically as a finisher, the Sweet Chin Music was the finisher, and then Super Kick has just become like something that the Bucks do 400 times in a match, which I don't say it's just the Usos do more super kicks in a match than the Bucks do. I think
at this point they're just challenging each other through. They're like
who can do the most super kicks?
Chat, like we at 32, where y'all at? You know, and then Usos.
Yeah. So those are our finishers, and I think they're all great fucking finishers. DDT I didn't even think about, but like it's Jake the Snake, baby. You gotta, Arn Anderson dropping that DDT on Dynamite. That was wild.
He hit the back like Jake the Snake too.
Yeah. He was like, "I'm gonna break your whole soul, son." And then
we didn't even talk about that. I forgot about Arn Anderson's promo was fucking great.
He did that little handgun thing, and I was like, "That was silly." Please don't leave it there. And then when he did the DDT, I was like, God damn!
It was the full. It was the handgun. It was QT selling the handgun. It was the DDT. Like I backed that whole like segment. It was.
Yeah.
Tully Blanchard taught you how to play chess. Checkers. Tonight we're gonna play chess.
Tonight we're gonna catch a body. Boom, boom.
What a 1987 NWA promo.
Arn Anderson just has like huge like Mechanicsville grandpa energy. So he's every rural person's loving grandpa who can also bust out a DDT in the end. But yeah, cool. That's episode 10, the first double-digit episode of Permanent Marks with our guest that we've been trying to get on for a long time, Mo Brown, who will definitely be back. Hopefully we can do like an episode where we get both Mo and Eric on here and we just make it fucking madness. But
4 hours
we'll see.
Long.
Yeah, 4 hour.
Quick question, Pat. When do you want to do the next pod?
It
doesn't matter.
Oh
when
my
do you want to do the next pod? Jabroni.
You're crushing me. And he got me with this shit before the thing started, too. All right. Well, episode 10 is fucking over.
We did it, brothers. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe. And we should be dropping an episode every week. Tell us what you think.
You're on the YouTube. comment
right.
your favorite finishers. Let's get a discourse started. Like, what you want
Yeah.
to see at Wembley? Let's go.
Yeah.
In the comments.
Yeah. Get it on. All right. Later, y'all. Bye.